Hello, good evening. Welcome, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and start this meeting. Meeting has started. Okay, I would like to welcome everybody to this evening's school board meeting. And if you would, please join me in a moment of silence and a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. The first item on tonight's agenda is our favorite item. It is Student of the Month. Okay, so how this is going to go is we have a professional photographer here that is going to take pictures of the teachers and the student up here during our presentation. After, we'll take a break, and then we'll go out in the hallway where the family can get their picture taken as well with the student. We've got some snacks out there, refreshments, and then after a break, then we'll continue our business meeting. Yes? Oh, we have Rock Strong after this. So we have two presentations, then we'll take our break. Thank you, sir. Very good. Okay, let's get started. Okay, the first school we'd like to honor is the Virginia F. Wood Early Learning Center.
Hello. Hi, welcome. I'm Kaylee Dickin. I'm the Assistant Director at the Early Learning Center, and this is Nash Blue. Can you wave to everybody? Can you wave and tell them hi? So Nash, So Nash is a student in a co-teach classroom with Mrs. Nair and Mrs. Boyd, and they're right up here at the front. And when I see Nash in the classroom or hallway, he always has a big smile on his face, and he's always having positive interactions with his peers and his teacher. And I'd like to introduce you to Mrs. Nair, and she's one of his teachers, and she's going to share just a little bit about Nash.
So Nash shows great initiative to learn in our classroom. He is consistently engaged in tasks and is eager to learn about each new unit we introduce. He is a great friend and offers hugs to friends who are upset, shares his toys, and uses kind words with his peers every day. He exhibits that he is proud to be a Westfield Rock and is such a joy to have in preschool B6.
So congratulations, Nash, on being so kind and helpful. We're so glad to honor you as the Student of the Month for Virginia F. Wood Early Learning Center. Ms. Taylor, would you like to come up and take a picture too? I'm going to take a photo right here, okay?
Go ahead and grab all of the goodies there. Right here, Nash. Wow, there you go. 1, 2. One more time, Nash. 1, 2. Thank you, Nash.
Congratulations. All right, the next school up is Maple Glen.
All right, hello. My name is Libby Bod. I'm the assistant principal at Maple Glen Elementary, and I am here with Mrs. Eberhardt, one of our kindergarten teachers, who has nominated this wonderful little girl, Logan Brown. Logan was nominated for exhibiting one of our 4 pillars of being a leaf leader at Maple Glen, more specifically for being a very empathetic friend to our classmates. And I'm going to let Mrs. Eberhardt talk a little bit about why she nominated her.
I'm nominating Logan to be the Student of the Month because she shows empathy and is accountable for her actions. She always jumps in to help others when I don't even ask her. She can often be seen helping another student zip up her coat or find their lunch tag. that might be misplaced. She's always the first one to go check on a student that might be sad or angry. She's hunkered down right beside them, rubbing their back and seeing what she can do to help. And even with all that, she's a good student, a good friend, a good helper, an all-around role model. I've seen Logan grow so much the first couple months of kindergarten. She's a student that I can always count on. I'm so lucky and so happy to have her in my class.
And I can vouch for that. I got to see firsthand this morning when Mrs. Eberhardt wasn't there to greet her class. She had a guest teacher, and I had a friend who was a little nervous to come into the classroom, and Logan came out without even being asked and just grabbed his hand and invited him to come in the room and made sure he was settled for the day. So that's just who she is and what she does. So we're very excited. So I've got a couple of things for you. First, this book here. This is from Mrs. Fisher and from me. And then look at these cool things. Look at that. So I'm going to have you hold those, and then we're going to turn around and smile for the camera, okay? All right.
One more time, Logan. 1, 2. Thank you, Logan.
Congratulations. Next school up is Monon Trail.
Good evening. My name is Jeremy Marvel. I'm the principal at Monon Trail, and I have Andreas Amaya with me. He is our Monon Trail Student of the Month, and unfortunately his first grade teacher, Mrs. Hendricks, couldn't be here tonight, but she wrote a few things that I'm going to share with everybody, along with one of his EL teachers and a few of your classmates as well. I interviewed them, and they had some awesome things to say about you. So Mrs. Hendricks said, Andreas is a dedicated student at such a young age. He strives to do and produce his best work and doesn't allow the learning curve of applying a second language to derail him. His growth is already becoming apparent, and I'm excited to see his progression through the rest of this year and beyond. And Mrs. Dunbar, an EL teacher, said, he always has a smile on his face, is eager and excited to learn. He sets a great example to his peers while working hard and never giving up on his tasks. A few of his classmates said, Jaden said, Andreas is nice and he makes a lot of friends very easily. Miranda said, he always plays with me and is a good friend. And one of my favorites, Juliana, said, Andreas is kind and he doesn't cut in line. I don't know if you know, that's a pretty big deal in first and kindergarten and about all the other grades in elementary school. So great job, Andreas. And she said he's always very, very happy too. So there's a few others on there. I'll let you and your parents read those. But Andreas is such an awesome kid coming to us year one here in first grade and just fit right in and is such a great leader in first grade. So if you could join me in congratulating Andreas as our Student of the Month.
Congratulations. All right, the next school is Oak Trace.
Hi, everybody. Sorry, Hope. I'm Jane Hitch. I'm the proud principal at Oak Trace, and I have Ms. Hope Lancaster here with me, as well as Mrs. Herring, our assistant principal, and Ms. Grenda. She was Hope's third and fourth grade teacher. Got to loop with her twice, didn't you? Hope is our Student of the Month, and I just got to tell you, the Lancaster family has been part of the Oak Trace family for 17 years. We've been through a lot together over those 17 years. I remember when Hope was born, and her name, she brought hope to her family and to our whole community. And she has lived up to that name every year. And we are so proud. And now she's a fourth grader. I can't believe it's our last year with Lancaster in our family. But I told them they're always part of the Oak Trace family, even though they won't have a student there. I remember when Hunter was there and, all this. And now, are you a senior now? And they're getting old. I can't believe it. Anyway, we're just so proud to have them. This month, we focus on the lifeline of responsibility, and Miss Grinda, her 3rd and 4th grade teacher, nominated Hope. She said she always thinks of others first. She shows initiative in her schoolwork and her outside extracurricular activities. In fact, we were all 3 at Spell Bowl last night, weren't we? She helps us when they're struggling. She helps others when they're struggling, and she's responsible with her own academics, her friendships, and herself. When other teachers heard about your nomination, I went and talked to them. They were quick to add things like, she shows kindness and resilience. She's full of confidence, but carries herself beyond her years. She has just the right amount of confidence, yet humility. She's a great leader and a role model. She's one of the most caring and empathetic students I've ever had. That was from Mrs. Fletcher. She accepts a challenge and even asks for challenges. You know I had to call Mrs. Lynch. Mrs. Lynch, our former principal, remembers how she tried so hard to get you to be a Purdue fan, because they're big IU fans, and Mrs. Lynch and I are big Purdue fans. All right, you even wanted to have a Purdue birthday party. Do you remember that? I'm sorry, Lancasters, about that. But so she's just so proud of you, and she said she's always you've always made us proud. And on behalf of all of us, Mr. Feckety, Mrs. Herring, and I, we just want to say thank you to you for all of that you do at Oak Trace. She's been such a great leader, and we've been so lucky to have her all of these years at Oak Trace, even when you were really little. So please give a big round of applause to Hope Lancaster.
All right, congratulations. And next school up is Shamrock Springs.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rob Hedges, principal of Shamrock Springs Elementary School, and this is Mrs. Canning. This is dangerous. Rob Hedges, principal of Shamrock Springs Elementary School, and this is Mrs. Canning. This is Rowan's kindergarten teacher, and Rowan is our student of the month. And this past school year, we really had Coach Jim, who's been our morning announcements, has focused in on what leadership is. You know, things like being kind, just working through some things, some issues, and just being a great example for everyone else. So that was our filter this month for our student of the month. And out of all of our 140 kindergarten students, Rowan, you were picked. So congratulations. I'm just going to read off a few things from some of Rowan's teachers, parents, as well as some of his friends, and a few words from Rowan himself. So this comes from Mrs. Canning. Rowan is a wonderful student. He has met and overcome every challenge that has come his way this year with resilience and determination. Rowan is a leader in our class and shows respect and compassion for his classmates, as well as teachers and staff at the school. We are so proud of Rowan and are lucky to have him as part of our Shamrock family. It's from Mom and Dad. We couldn't be more proud of you, Rowan. You are having a little bit of a hard time with the transition to kindergarten and then unexpectedly lost your Grammy, who you were very close with. But through it all, you never acted out or let it get you down. You decided to focus on the positives in life, be a good leader, practice great listening skills, always choosing to do the right thing, and to be a good friend. We are so thankful for your teacher, Mrs. Canning, and all the wonderful teachers and staff at Shamrock Springs who have been so supportive throughout these transitions and have always been there for you. You have excelled in your ability to read and do math, always looking for ways to practice at home to continue to build on those skills and improve. But most importantly, you always look out for others and are aware when someone needs words of encouragement or just to know they have a friend that cares. We can't wait to continue to watch you grow, to know that you are destined for great things in this world. A couple more things, Rowan. Hang in there. He's ready for those cookies out there. From his classmates, Rowan is silly and funny. He's always nice to me. Rowan always plays with me at recess. And this was from Rowan himself when I pulled him out the other day, just talked to him about what he likes about school. And this is what he said. I like to make new friends. I love to learn new things, and I try to be nice every single day. So congratulations to Rowan Shamrock Springs Student of the Month.
Congratulations. Next school is Washington Woods.
Okay, I'm Candace Hans, the assistant principal at Washington Woods, and I have Nora McKinney here with me and her teacher, Mr. Druck. Nora was nominated as our Student of the Month. We are a Leader in Me school, so we focus on the 7 habits of healthy and happy kids. And Nora was nominated for showing habit 2, begin with the end in mind. So I'm going to have Mr. Druck explain why she was nominated.
Nora always actively listens to directions and she follows them the first time each day. She is always thinking about the end goal and what she can do to help our classroom grow and learn. She's an encouraging friend and helps others meet their goals too. And she loves to be a help on campus, in our classroom, and just with anybody. Anyone can go up to Nora and, either get a hug, a smile, or some kind words. And we're very proud of you, Nora. I think we have a couple more teachers that have spoken up about you as well.
All right, a couple other things. Mrs. Holler shared that you've always been a leader. You define what being a leader means, and this is the perfect nomination as you are always starting with the end in mind. Mrs. Wegner shared that you have been a member of the Student Lighthouse team for 2 years. So that's our student leadership committee. And that she doesn't think the committee would be the same without you. She says you really embark and embrace everything that is a Leader in Me student role model. There you go. All right. Mrs. Zach also wanted to share that she is so proud of you and that Miss Nora, you are wise beyond your years. Okay. Your parents shared with us that they are so proud of you and and all of your kindness and hard work. You are eager to go to school and love coming to school each and every day. We love that. We are so proud of you, Miss Nora.
Congratulations. Next school up is Cary Ridge.
Hello, my name is Andy Hilton, and I'm the proud principal at Cary Ridge Elementary, and this is my friend John St. Just. And he is our Student of the Month this month, and each month we look at different lifelines, and last month was empathy, and so then we take some kiddos and we vote for it, and by far John had the most votes in the whole school. He's known as Smiley also, so always has that big smile on his face. But John, I have a few teachers that said some things about you, and I'd like to read those real quick. So your kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Ferry, said, "Congratulations, John. You are such an amazing friend and student. I can see how you would get the award for empathy. You were so kind and helpful to others, even in kindergarten. Keep up the great work." And now he is in 2nd grade, and he's in a special situation where his teacher looped from 1st grade to the 2nd grade, but he was not in her class last year. And so that's a hard place when we have to add a couple kiddos. Do you add new kids? Do you add kids that are already at Cary Ridge? And then we thought of John because he gets along with everybody. He has nobody that's not a friend. So Mrs. Stevenson said, John is a great part of our classroom. He is always kind to others, works hard, and has a great sense of humor. He comes to school every day with a smile on his face. John is well liked by everyone in our class, and he is also a leader. I expect to hear great things from John in the years to come. So that's from his current teacher. And then last year, his teacher had a student teacher, Miss Poe, and she's actually in the back here to support you, but I thought she had the best word. She said, John is a one-of-a-kind student. John is honest, hardworking, and has a heart of gold. I was thankful enough to witness and be a part of his education last year, as I was a student teacher. There were days last year that I was nervous to teach a new lesson, but John's smiles and hugs were something I looked forward to every day that reassured me that I was doing my best. He taught me that having relationships with students is just as important as teaching them the curriculum. To this day, John hugs me every chance he gets in the hallway and even waits to see me at the end of the day by the buses. He is a student who has impacted me just as I hope I have impacted him. John is a sweet soul, and I am so thankful to know him and get to watch him grow. So congratulations, John. We have some more, but I don't have time. So John St. Just.
Congratulations. Next school is the intermediate school.
Gerardo. Yep. Gonzalez, Castaneda. I think we should give you the mic.
Yep. Hi everybody. This is Mrs. Price, Mrs. Lancaster, Mrs. Hartsock, and the principal here, Mr. McKinney.
Okay. As you know, Gerardo's the man. Gerardo, my wife is Mrs. McKinney, and when I told her you were our student of the month, she said that you've been getting awards like this over and over again. The mantle is full. Okay, so Gerardo brings it every day. He's a great kid. He's got a huge smile and certainly a positive attitude. Miss Lancaster is going to share a little bit more.
Hi. Unfortunately, no relation to the Oak Trace legends. So kind of bummed about that. Thankful for my entourage. When I nominated Gerardo, I was told, well, prepare some things to say. And I thought, don't need to write a word down because you don't need to prepare anything to talk about Gerardo. From day one, Gerardo has shown up. We're in the upstairs D hallway in our little bubble way at the back every single day with a joyful smile on his face. To know Gerardo is to know joy. Nothing gets this boy down. He perseveres through everything he does. He works so hard, is so positive. In my class, somebody earns the positive potato on their desk every day. And Gerardo was the shoo-in the first time. And he's always so excited for his classmates that get the positive potato. One fun story we have to share. Mrs. Hartsock had one of our other students in class one day, and he showed her a picture of this smiling, cheerful puppy. And he was like, Mrs. Hartsock, doesn't this happy puppy remind you of Gerardo? Because it just seems so joyful. And she's like, it does. And he said, we all need just a little bit of Gerardo in our lives every day. And so we love Gerardo and love how hard he works for us and how joyful he is. So congratulations, Gerardo.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Next up is the Westfield Middle School.
Good evening. There's such wonderful kiddos here tonight, and we have another one, Juan Hernandez. And the Trailblazer team and I are here to recognize him. And when I first told Juan he was the recipient of this award, and he had to come to the school board meeting and let us talk about how awesome he was like, no, pick somebody else. but we talked him into it. And so that his teachers are here to talk about how amazing he is in the classroom. I get to see him in the cafeteria with his friends, having so much fun, but it's also good to hear from the classroom teachers as well. So I think Mr. Leffel's going to take this one.
Okay. Let me see if I remember that. Ok. Cuando lo seleccionaron a él para ser el estudiante del mes y le dijeron que él tenía que hablar algunas cosas, él dijo, no, tomen a alguien más porque le daba pena, pero pues luego fue valiente. Así como todos los niños que han estado acá, él también es un niño muy valioso, esforzado y estamos muy orgullosos de tenerlo acá.
I'm Mr. Leffel. I'm Juan's social studies teacher. This is Mrs. Ferris, his math teacher. This is Mrs. Abriani, his wellness teacher. This is Mrs. Fugat, who's his language teacher. And we are so proud of Juan. We love teaching middle school, and the first day we met him, we realized 5 things about him we learned pretty quickly. Number 1, he is a very, very friendly kid.
Ok. Acá están los profesores de estudios sociales, matemática, la profesora de inglés y la de wellness. Y están muy orgullosos de tenerlo aquí. Y él va a mencionar algunas cosas sobre Juan.
One thing we learned about him, he's very, very friendly. The very first day, a wonderful smile, and very, very open about greeting all of his teachers, saying goodbye every single day.
La primera cosa es que él es muy amigable, siempre está con una sonrisa y dispuesto a saludar a todos en la mañana y luego despedirse al final del día.
2, he's a goofy kid. He's kind of sneaky. He's got a lot of friends. He's got a lot of playtime, but he's really, really popular and has a lot of fun throughout the day.
Segundo es que es un niño muy gracioso, le gusta hacer bromas, es muy agradable y pues tiene muchos amigos alrededor de toda la escuela.
3, he's wicked smart. Can take care of business on his own. Wonderful, wonderful student.
Número 3, él es muy inteligente, puede tomar muchas cosas por sí mismo y es un estudiante maravilloso.
4, he is brave. He is a brave learner. As an English learner, he goes out and he takes risks and he gets out of his comfort zone. If we could get all of our kids to read out loud and be participating the same way Juan is as an English learner, we are so, so proud of this kid. He is wonderful.
Número 4, él es muy valiente. Como un estudiante que está aprendiendo inglés, toma muchos riesgos y no le cuesta tomar esos riesgos. Si tuviéramos a todos los estudiantes que hicieran lo mismo que él asumiendo esos riesgos, pues sería maravilloso.
And finally, number 5, he's just kind. You can't wish for a better 7th grade student than Juan.
Y la número 5 es que él es muy amable. Es un estudiante maravilloso para todos.
Congratulations. Next up is Westfield High School.
All right. So I'm welcoming up Colin. Colin is an absolutely tremendous student. I'm one of the assistant principals at Westfield High School, and I get to oversee student activities, which is how I know Colin best. So not only is his excellence on a display every single day in the classroom, but most recently on the stage and beyond. If you saw even the promo video before, he's a familiar face, right? Because he was just one of the leads in Cinderella, so you may have seen that as you came into the room. But he's involved in a lot of other things, including Thespians, one of the leaders for comedy sports. He's involved in choir, and I get to work with him at a rock concert every May called American Pie, where he can show off all his skills. But what's really incredible about Colin and what I want to share are some of the statements from his teachers and some peers. So Sydney Blair, who's one of our directors in theater, said that he's a kind-hearted person, a hard worker, a natural-born leader, a gifted performer, always working, though, and striving to be the best that he can. His math teacher, finite math, an advanced level math there, says he's always prepared, asks great questions about their in-class practice problems, works incredibly well with others, and it was a pleasure getting to know him last trimester. Mrs. Wessel, your director of choir, had to say that you're a joy to work with in choir and theater. You always have a positive attitude and give your best effort, and that you have a bright future ahead of you. Mr. McLaughlin said that he's a very kind student, treats his fellow peers with respect, and he has a growth mindset and discipline, and that's very admirable. I mean, so many people had things to say. I mean, he's used to getting standing ovations, too, so I feel like at the end of this, we got to represent here. Gabe Smith, one of your peers, just said that you're warm and welcoming, kind to all, never hesitating to help someone out in need. Your counselor said that you're an absolute pleasure to work with, a natural leader again. Now a student teacher, it sounds like at Oak Trace, so represent Oak Trace. So he's helping out in the music department there, even with her third grade son, and just excited to see where your future leads. Mr. Sands said you're a talented student, outstanding academically, quiet, confident leader in the classroom. And then two more from Mr. Zabonik and then Mr. Grubb. You're an amazing young man, talented but remains humble, goes out of his way to be a leader, strives to be an example of how someone should act, just so proud. Again, can't wait to see what the future holds. And then Mr. Grubb said that you're a top student, one of the top that he's ever had the pleasure of working with. He's a leader. He has self-discipline and determination. So let's give it up for Colin. Those will be for you to keep, but we'll take a picture first, I guess.
All right, congratulations. Let's give all of our students a round of applause. Okay, next item on the agenda, we have the Rock Strong Awards. Okay, so for the Rock Strong Awards, I'd like to thank Everwise Credit Union and the Westfield Education Foundation for their sponsorship of these awards. And I'd like to introduce the presenters, Ashley Knott and Josh.
Hi, good evening. I'm the proud executive director for the Westfield Education Foundation, but I also have the opportunity to serve as the director of community engagement. And one thing I want to give a selfish plug to is we have Rocks Giving coming up very soon. So it's on Monday night. I don't know if you've heard about it, but I would like to bring you guys joy and invite you guys to Westfield High School on Monday night for a free hot meal. And who's invited? Everybody in this room, everybody who's not in this room who's in Westfield. It's a wonderful time to spread community, to spread just some conversation. We don't know if you need a meal fiscally, we don't know if you need connection, or we don't know if you're just a blessing in the community and you can help those around us. You never know what a conversation's gonna do. So plan to come with us, come have a hot meal from 5 to 7 p.m., let your neighbors know, and keep Westfield Westfield. And we're working to do that. You can come too. Yeah, you should come. Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. You never know who's going to be there. We have a couple other things going on that spread community. We've got some holiday giving. We're trying to take care of all the kids in Westfield. So if you see this stuff come out, holiday giving, if you want to figure out how to get connected and take care of students, we have over close to 1,200 students on the Angel Tree. There is a lot of need in Westfield, and we have a lot of gifts in being able to make sure every child has a blessed and wonderful holiday. So if you guys want to take a part in that, let me know. And we'll get on with the awards. I'd like to thank Everwise Credit Union for sponsoring the awards, so we couldn't do it without you. So thank you, Cole and Adam, for being here tonight, and we will start. All right. Stephanie Foster from Cary Ridge Elementary School. The Rockstrong Award, we'll wait till the end and I'll kind of read through. So I know some of the kids have been sitting here a while and then they'll come up and do some pictures. But the Rockstrong Award is for our staff that serves, they're hardworking, they're grit, they push through everything, they find our students, they make them rise to the top, and we wouldn't be here without all of our amazing teachers across the district. So Stephanie Foster will be the first one from Cary Ridge Elementary School. Stephanie, you want to come up? Is she here? Ms. Foster is a teacher who is caring, supportive, flexible, and understanding of her students. Our daughter has gone through a lot of mental health issues since the start of the pandemic and required extra support outside of school. Ms. Foster was so supportive during this time. Ms. Foster was encouraging to our daughter and helped her find success in her potential school year. We're thankful for having such a positive year, Ms. Foster. And then another student wrote, Stephanie has a unique way of making all kids feel seen in their classroom. No matter the child's academic skills, Stephanie approaches each student with kindness and support in the belief that every child will learn in her classroom. I admire Stephanie's calm demeanor and love how she connects with kids. We are lucky to have her at Cary Ridge. She is rock strong. Thank you. You want to take a picture? Come on in. Come on. Thank you. I want you to show you the plaque. Oh. Laura Riggle from Maple Glen Elementary School. Laura is an amazing fourth grade teacher who cares passionately for her students and her position as a teacher. Laura has a wonderful sense of humor mixed with a huge heart. Laura constantly talks to her class about being class friend family. She doesn't just say these words, she embodies it. And she truly treats her class as family. Thanks to Laura's guidance, her students embody this idea as well. The students look out for each other, share words and notes of encouragement when needed, and truly care for each other. Another parent says, Miss Riggle is rock strong every day. She is in or out of the classroom and sets the highest standard example of displaying the most truest love from a caring teacher. Thank you for being rock strong. Mr. Sam from Monon Trail Elementary School is here tonight. I don't think he could make it. So we're just going to read for him. He has been a bus driver for the past 3 years now, and he was so excited he keeps coming back. He is always so happy to greet the kids in the morning and makes a point to know all the kids' names and makes them feel comfortable and happy. He is so patient. We appreciate all of our bus drivers, but this one goes out to Mr. Sam tonight. So congratulations. We'll get him his award. Cheryl Beard from Oak Trace Elementary School. Cheryl cares about all students, especially the students she works with daily. She goes above and beyond to ensure their success. She meets daily challenges with a smile and does what is best for kids. She is a joy to work with. She demonstrates and qualifies what Rock Strong is. Thank you for being Rock Strong.
Should get a show off.
Angie Hall from Shamrock Springs Elementary School. A parent shared, words cannot describe how amazing Angie Hall is and her dedication to her students. Miss Hall was his teacher of record for my son. Angie has and continues to go above and beyond her role as a teacher to support not only my son, but our entire family. She is a much needed rock to lean on when we were dealing with difficult decisions. I honestly don't know what I would have done without her. I have gone from paralyzing fear of unknown with my son and seeing him develop into a well-rounded, happy child. I know that she will continue to care for him and support him as a kindergartner at Shamrock Springs Elementary School. While I love everyone at Shamrock Springs, I cannot think of anyone else more deserving for this award. You are truly rock strong.
In the middle?
Whitney Ackerman from Washington Woods Elementary School. Whitney is deserving of the Rock Strong Award. She is a valuable member of our Washington Woods staff. She has taken on a role of our math interventionist, supporting numerous students in areas of math. Although math was not her strength, she embraces the role and has truly advanced in student learning. She loves our students and the overall data. Whitney has gone above and beyond her role as an IA, leading our Washington Woods Learning Project. She is instrumental in the opening of the Michael Virginia Learning Garden last May and was a huge task that she undertook. She has worked to maintain the Learning Garden alongside the PTO, creating a Parent Learning Garden Committee and reaching out to community partners, such as the Westfield Sprinkler Company, Westfield Green Together, the High School Culinary, FFA, and the students. Whitney is truly one of the best hires I have ever made. I know I can count on her as a true teammate and a friend, and I know that we would not be able to do this without her. That was from Ms. Zach. Thanks for being rock strong. Sherry Comer from Westfield Intermediate School. Sherry consistently goes above and beyond, displaying an unwavering commitment to her work. Not only does she fulfill the job and requirements with enthusiasm, but also she takes the time to connect with each and every student. It is important to highlight that Sherry extends her reach beyond the classroom, continuously putting in the extra effort to support students and their families. Whether it's offering assistance at the hospital bedside or providing emotional support when needed, she demonstrates a level of care and compassion that is truly remarkable. She is rock strong for Westfield Intermediate School. So she's not here. Cindy Bishop from Westfield Middle School. Cindy is extremely committed to the success and education of not only the students she works with, but all students in her sphere of influence. She routinely is proactive in regards to small group instruction and will assist any student that might be struggling with an assignment or concept being taught. She not only helps to organize her students in her classes, but assists teachers also. She knows classroom procedures and follows them without question, maintaining the consistency that our students require for success. She is an incredible asset and a true treasure to be associated with in and outside of the classroom. You are truly rock strong. Christy Ulysses, I want to say that wrong. Ulysses, yes, Christy Ulysses. Sorry, I said it wrong. Is she here tonight? But I'm going to go ahead and read anyway. Since my students started at Westfield High School, she has been wonderful. She helps us with about anything we need. She has been so responsive and has done so much when we had questions and problems during COVID. Coming from my prestigious school, my student never had the mentoring and the genuine assistance that she provides. We are so happy to have come to Westfield. She is truly rock strong. And Frank Wooten with operations is not here, but we will go ahead and read for him. Frank has been with our school system since 1984. Since the district grew from 3 buildings to 13, what currently make up Westfield Washington School. During Frank's time with the maintenance department, Frank has provided his expertise as certified locksmith, the HVAC technician, and every role that maintenance fulfills. Frank's knowledge of infrastructure and history of the buildings has been and continues to be a vital part of our team. Thank you, Frank, for the many years of service to Westfield Washington Schools. And Taylor Boyd from the Early Learning Center. Ms. Boyd has worked for TOTS for several years and willingly agreed to move to a 3-year-old co-teaching classroom this year. In this role, she is supporting general education and special education students. Taylor is doing a great job in this new position, and these are quotes from parents. Taylor is an amazing teacher and a coworker. She has made such a positive impact in our classroom. The kids and staff are so grateful for her. Congratulations for being rock strong. And Sam Gunder, I don't think he's either, but I'll go ahead and read for him from BAC. Sam has been a great asset to BAC program. He started working at Shamrock Springs while in high school. While he graduated, he came back to work at BAC during his college breaks in summer. This past summer, Sam has an internship that required him to work Monday through Thursday and volunteer on Fridays. For his volunteer work, he gave his time to BAC. Sam has been flexible and being willing to go wherever he's needed. He is always ready with a smile and a hello for everyone. The staff and children love Mr. Sam. Our program is better because of Sam and his love for children. Every BAC program would be blessed to have him. He is the perfect person to receive the Rock Strong Award. Congratulations, Sam. Thank you to everyone and for all the nominations. And if you guys have teachers that you would like to nominate, each quarter, thanks to Everwise, we're able to award and appreciate our staff. So thanks so much.
And on that note, as the Director of Communications and a member of the Westfield Education Foundation Board, I love shining the spotlight on all these Rock Strong students and teachers, actually. And with that, on that note, if you're here tonight and you received the Rock Strong Award, can you come up and take a group photo? And David, can you get one from the front? Along with Everwise and Ashley, can we get one group photo of all the recipients? It makes it easier to kind of spread the word with that. And so if you also want to, can you hear me? If you also want to nominate someone for the Rock Strong Award, the link is in the Shamrock Blast every single week if you receive the Shamrock Blast. It's also in your kids' school newsletters as well. So there's plenty of opportunities to shine a light on some teachers who have made a difference in your students' lives.
Okay, let's give a round of applause for our Rock Strong Award winners. Okay, this is a time when we take our break, so families can head to the hallway. We can get some family photos with your student and some refreshments. We will reconvene. Oh, it's on. Welcome back. Thank you. Okay, so this is, next item on the agenda is the public comment section. So for the public comments, I have a bit to read. Let's see here. We have a process for community members to discuss a concern not related, related to the agenda item. Public comments are limited to items on the agenda, must live within Westfield, Washington School District boundaries. Let's see, each commenter is allowed 3 minutes. The total time allowed for commenting at a meeting is 30 minutes, and if someone wishes to make a comment about something not on the agenda, they may email the board or just stay after. We'll be here. Let's see, we have a list of items on the agenda tonight for comment, and we do have one card. So I'll call the card, and the card is Amy Christmas. Now, do you need a microphone? Okay.
Or you can do the handheld. Which one do you prefer?
If this one works, I can use this one?
Yep.
Are we good? Okay. Good evening. Thank you so much for the opportunity to present and to speak here tonight, to make a comment. I'm Amy Christmas. I am a community member and proud parent of a Westfield Middle School student. I wanted to speak, I noticed demography on the agenda tonight, so I wanted to make just a couple of comments. Because certainly, while I don't know the details of what you will share, our population is rapidly changing here in Westfield. We regularly appear on various lists of top 10 places to live, so it's no surprise that we are growing. And along with that, I'm sure will come an increase in the diversity of our population. So you as the board here of Westfield Washington School System have a tremendous opportunity to make our school system a leader and a model in the K through 12 space of how we respond to diversity and how we manage that. A 2022 American Psychology Association article, a research review article, found, among other things, in terms of positive benefits of embracing diversity as a school system, they found a positive change in student attitude and value. They found improved critical thinking among students and even higher academic achievement, again, when diversity is embraced as a school system. So valuing diversity will truly help us as a school to achieve the academic excellence that we all want. I know that's what you want as a board as well. And diversity can't just exist, obviously, to get these outcomes. Like we can't just focus on what unites us. We do have to learn and understand, and value perspectives that are different from our own. There's an article I found from the journal Blacks in Higher Education found that, again, nationwide, I don't know our numbers, but nationwide, 80% of teachers are white, whereas only 45% of students are white. And that's a big disparity. And again, while I don't know our numbers, I do know from a social media post that I saw earlier this year that it looked like, it was celebrating our new teachers. It did look like most of the individuals that we hired were white. I don't want to take anything away from any of the wonderful people that we hired, but it does seem like that's an opportunity for improvement right there in terms of balancing diversity in who we hire. And I also just want to say, too, I know that racial diversity is just one measure of diversity. I don't know what can be done all to balance that in terms of our staff, but I do think it would be well advised to do that. Also, I do know that there are various initiatives to adopt new curriculum. And as we do that, I think we must ensure diverse representation, again, to support our growing community. 10 seconds. I suggest an audit be completed and be made publicly available of current materials to identify needed improvements. And then I also suggest that the board elicit feedback from a broad range of minority groups, of people in minority groups, because that in and itself will be a great step toward unifying our community, which is something that we all want. I thank you so much for your service to our school system, our staff, and our students. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. Thank you. Did I do good?
Thank you, Amy. Very good. Okay, that was the only card we had. I will move on to the next item. Okay, so we have our consent agenda to approve. This is the usual consent agenda that is comprised of our board minutes. We have a number of those. The accounts payable vouchers, the payroll vouchers, and the personnel report. And those have been distributed, reviewed, questions have been asked, questions have been answered. And so we are ready to entertain a motion to approve this month's consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve this month's consent agenda as distributed.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
Got a second? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, thank you. All right, we're going to move on to our next item in our business meeting, and that is our construction update with Victor Landfair.
Good evening. Appreciate the opportunity to come back to the board and make a short report on the construction project at Cary Ridge. It's actually been, thank you. It's actually been, I skipped October. Sorry, I had a conflict. So I'm going to report on the last 60 days. We were very pleased with the progress. We've finished our sanitary connections. We've started and we're really close on our storm sewer site work. We really made some progress in the site work. We got a little bit farther to go, but you're going to see in the photographs here, we've made some nice progress in establishing the playground pad. The exterior of the building is coming together nicely. We've finished our nail base insulation and our shingles. We've finished up our soffit, and we've made good progress with the brick veneer. Looking from the aerial photograph, you'll see as we get a little bit closer here, we've made, it's not a very good photograph, but we've been moving some dirt over the last 60 days, and that's produced some nice work. We've also gotten our brick, as I said, almost all the way around the perimeter of the building. You see in the foreground there, that's the building or the pad for the new playground, for the new addition. There to the left, you see there from the east, southeast, the brick is wrapped around to the south side. And as I wrap around, you see that now we're working on the west side of the addition. So brick is coming together, which will be the major part of the exterior envelope will be complete. We'll be putting some windows in, hopefully. Interior is coming along well as also. We finished our wall framing, our mechanical electrical upgrade, rough-ins, our mat insulation and drywall. We put tile in the bathrooms. Acoustical ceiling grid is started, and we've got interior painting going. So you'll see in the photograph there, that's a photograph of the corridor. You see the final paint going in, and you see our overhead is really far along. Very pleased. It's a typical classroom where ceiling grid is up, all the drywall is finished and painted. There's some wall tile. So again, very pleased. Next 30 days, we'll be finishing up a number of things on our site. We want to get the last little parking loop, at least get binder down. We'll have some top surface pavement that'll have to go in on the spring, but that'll be kind of that final. Actually, it's good that we'll put it in last. It'll be all fresh and new and painted here when the weather turns in the spring. We're going to continue working on our grading. You're going to start to see sidewalks go down, and some of the playground infrastructure, the curbs and the under drainage will be going in here in the next 30 days. We're going to finish up our brick and our exterior windows in the next 30 days. We're going to finish up our ceiling grid. We're going to start putting the residence flooring in the restrooms and continue painting. So really pleased again with the progress we've made. We really haven't used any contingency in the last couple of months. We've got a few things in the pipeline, so we'll report next month. But very pleased. And in terms of utilization, we're well into the project, so I'm predicting that we're going to be in great shape with contingency utilization for the project. And that's it. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Well, it's great. It's amazing that seems like we were just standing there doing that ribbon cutting, and to see the walls up and the roof on, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's coming together well.
Appreciate everything you're doing.
Well, thank you. Looking forward to seeing the project through its end.
Great job. Any other questions? All right. Excellent, as usual. Thank you. Okay, next item on our agenda is our demography presentation, and for that I'd like to introduce Brian Tollemichael.
It's really easy for me. So I'll just introduce Jerry McKibben. We worked with Jerry now for last 2 or 3 demography studies in the district. Was going through in our last update a few years ago. Clearly economics have changed a little bit since that last study. We just came out of COVID during that last study as well. And Westfield, I like to say, is kind of a unicorn in the sense of a lot of things that apply everywhere else don't apply here. So look forward to what Jerry has to share with us tonight.
Thank you, Brian. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen of the board. These are interesting times in the forecasting business, to put it mildly. I've got immigration going through the floor, home prices going through the roof, 30-year fixed rates at 7.6%. Mobility is at a post-World War II low. Household size is dropping like a rock. And then there's Westfield, Washington, where none of the rules apply. That's 2 or 3 standard deviations off the mean on just about anything. No homes, we'll just build them, you know. People moving in, they'll come from all over the country. 30-year fixed rate, inconsequential. Nothing stops you guys. Brian's been sending me the monthly building permit report. And when I get upset with other school districts, I show them to them so they get envious and jealous, you know, because it's like 600, you know, 1,200 approved, 600 being built. This is where it really comes in important, because we've always touted the fact that we look at the individual demographic dynamics of each school district in its attendance area. In no district is that more important than Westfield, Washington. No national, no state, no regional model would apply in here, because it is unique on all characteristics, and I'm going to go through a lot of them. And the plus that we didn't have 2 years ago, we now have all the data from the 2020 census. It took them a couple of years to get it out, but it's been released. We've used it all in this survey here. Everything's based off 2020 and the characteristics. So it's an updated study. Last one didn't do too bad, but we're coming out of COVID, and we'll be living with the side effects of COVID for the rest of this decade for sure, if not longer. As of course you all remember, these are forecasts, they're not projections. Projections where you take a algorithm and literally project it out forward from the last 5 years. These are 2-step forecasts where we do a full population forecast of each attendance area, and that drives the enrollment forecast. Now, anytime you're doing a forecast, you have to have assumptions. These are broad socioeconomic demographic parameters that we use in building the models, okay? And I have them, they're in your report. I have them up here, if I get this thing to work. I don't want to go through all of them. I want to go through the big 4, and the big 4 are the ones that have the greatest probability of error and variation. If you're going to have error in the forecast, it's going to come from these 4 factors. And the most important one is B. We assume the 30-year fixed rate stays between 5.5 and 7.5% for the life of the forecast. This morning it's 7.6. We already blew past that a little bit. But they've been coming down. They hit 8 last month. They've been coming down since then. So I think they'll probably stay in that 5.5, 7.5 range for the life of the forecast. I really don't believe we'll ever see below 5% 30-year mortgage rates again. That was an abnormality of the last crisis, trying to get out of that. One of the issues, though, that will affect Westfield, Washington on this is the move-up homes. This is a move-up district. You have starter homes here, you have apartments, but you have a lot of move-up homes. So when you're coming out of college, you don't buy a house, you rent an apartment. That's where you start your family at. We call those family formation areas. Then most people don't want to raise their kids in an apartment, so oldest one gets like 3, 4, 5 years old, they're looking for a starter home. And if you have the economic resources after that, you want to go from the starter home up to the move-up home. The problem is, a lot of people right now have these starter homes with 3.5%, 4% interest rates. The move-up home is going to cost you 7.5% right now. If you buy a $400,000 house, just the increase from 3.5% to 7.5% in the 30-year fixed rate will raise your mortgage by $1,000 a month. And that's what's kind of stymieing the move-up market right now. So if there's anything that's going to slow it down, it's going to be not so much people not moving in, but not being able to get the mortgage or for the mortgage payments. Okay. This is Indiana. You can't talk about enrollment in this state without talking about transfer policy. We assume the district will maintain a negative 400 net out migration. You're a closed district. You do not allow people to transfer in unless they're faculty or staff. So you, just like Carmel, Noblesville, Hamilton Southeast, all have negative numbers. Hamilton Southeast like negative 1,600 right now. The out migrants are going to Sheraton, some to Carmel because the Carmel teachers can't afford to live there, and Hamilton Heights. And then you've got another 150 going to private. We hold that constant going forward. And it stayed remarkably in the 380, 400 range for the last 5-6 years, according to the state data. So we will figure that's going to pretty much stay solid. The other two, we assume that you're going to have 680 new single-family housing units constructed per year over the next 10 years. That's 6,800, all right? I have no doubt in my mind you're going to make that number, particularly towards the end of this decade. The number I'm worried about is 1,450 here. That's your existing home sales. Even here in fast-growing Westfield, Washington, where you have one of the highest home construction rates, not only in the state, but the nation, your existing home sales are still double what your home construction is. And talk to any realtor right now anywhere in the country, they will tell you the supply of homes in the market right now is at a post-World War II low. Because in COVID, the elderly just stopped moving and they haven't started back up again. They've got no place to go. I think eventually they'll probably wind up moving in with their kids, but that's another story. But the key number is, you need to add those two together. It's better than 2,000 housing units moving in per year, counterbalancing your out migration flows. It doesn't matter if it's new, it doesn't matter if it's existing. That comes down to a factor of where we're putting the growth at in the schools. But for the district as a whole, you need about 2,000 to have these forecasts come to pass. And that's the number. We use Zillow, RealtyTrack, and Realtor.com to track your housing. Get it right down to the address level, price, how long it's been on the market, when it last sold for, all sorts of nice data in there. And 3 sources are always better than 1. You'll have no trouble making 680 this year on the new. Might come in a little short on the 1450 because there's just not enough. It's not that they don't want to buy, there's enough supply on the market. That's why the builders are trying to push everything through. They're trying to make up for this shortfall of existing homes in the market. And they get their own issues. Oops, gotta go back here one. The number one predictive variable for future population enrollment change, it's not fertility, it's not mortality, it's not even migration. It's the age structure of your population. How is your population distributed across the life course? This is Westfield, Washington from the 2010 census, and I've got 2020 up next and then all the attendance areas. But we refer to this as the classic suburban model, okay? Because apartment or suburban areas don't have a whole lot of apartments in it. And these are easy to read. Your 0 to 4, that's your preschool, elementary, middle, high school. 20 to 34 are referred to as family formation ages. 80% of all births occur to women between the ages of 20 and 34 years old. When you see changes in number of births in an area, it's not due to change in birth rate, it's due to the change in the number of women in prime childbearing age. Despite what you've read in the popular press, the fertility rates in the U.S. have stayed in a nice, tight 15% band for the last 50 years, between 1.6 and 2.0 women per children in their lifetime. Right now, we're running about 1.65, it's dropped up a little bit. But basically, this is where family formation's at. 35 to 54 are the ages where most people have kids in school. The parents that were here for your awards ceremony, the vast majority of them were between 35 and 54 years old. Okay. 55 to 69 are what we refer to as the empty nest households. And this is where it gets confusing for people. You got the Smith family living down the road, been there for 20 years. But 10 years ago, there was mom, dad, and 2 kids in there. But now the kids have grown up, graduated high school, moved away, gone off to college or whatever, mom, dad. Same household, same owners, 4-person households, now a 2-person household, okay? And then 70 and over are what we call the turnover ages. You see a slight uptick at 62 and another one at 65. Most people don't downsize till they're in their 70s. It's not retirement that triggers downsizing. It's either the death of one of the spouses or they both lose the ability to drive. And you need a car to function out here in Westfield, you know. So if I know home ownership rates and age structure and mortality, that's a good proxy measurement of how many homes are going to go on the market. Now, they don't all fall in that category because you have a lot of people who move because of jobs around here too. But the backbone of it, the bulk of it's driven by retirement downsizing. Again, this was 2010. This is 2020. No surprise. Here's all these people who moved out in the last 10 years and all the kids they brought with them, you know, they're substantially bigger. But notice you still have that hourglass shape. Why? Because the vast majority of your housing units out here are owner occupied. You don't have rental units in a large enough number to affect that. So they're in urbanized areas and they'll move out here. But because of that, notice your 0 to 4 population. We call this the deficit, okay? If nobody moved into the district, you just left your own demographic devices, 5 years later, your elementary enrollment would drop by about 700 students. Why? Because the cohorts coming in are smaller. So when you see all this growth coming in, labs bring in preschoolers with it, and we'll go more on this later. You have to make up for that 700 student deficit in over a 5-year period just to break even. That's why you just can't take, well, got building 100 units coming in, 0.5 kid per household, we'll just add 50 kids to the enrollment. It doesn't work that way. You have to look what the age structure is. Now, we also refer to this as your demographic fingerprint, because no two geographic areas have the same size, shape, and distribution of their enrollment, and their population, I should say. So this is Cary Ridge, okay? That was the first wave that came out. Here's the second wave that came out. Here's their kids, and there's their deficit, okay? So it tells me right then again, relatively few people in their 20s. This tells me how many in-migrants have to come to at least break-even point. Maple Glen, even more dramatic. These all moved out in the last half of the last decade, and here's all the kids they brought with them. But interesting, Maple Glen has probably the smallest 0 to 4 deficit of all your attendance areas. Bonan, just starting to build out now and a more even distribution of population. But again, very few 20, 24-year-olds and a bit of a deficit. Oak Trace had a lot of growth, and they brought a lot of kids with them, but also a much bigger deficit and very, very few people out there in their 20s and 30s. They're not having enough births, there's not enough women in prime childbearing age, so you're going to have that deficit continue to occur, you know, going forward. Shamrock Springs has a rather large bubble of high schoolers coming out, very even distribution of the population. In fact, Shamrock's probably the first area that's going to start seeing a noticeable number of empty nesters starting to turn over, particularly towards the end of the decade, because of their age structure. And then Washington Woods, the homes there tend to be a little more manageable, so you see more people there in their early 30s. And again, they don't have a deficit because they have so many people, at least in the back end of prime childbearing ages, they have enough births in there. They're probably the only area that would fall in that category. Now these are characteristics from the 2020 census. Now we'll look over district level and then by area. One of the things that floored people when they started analyzing the 2020 census was the drop in household size. Across the country, all the states, most areas, and Westfield, Washington is no exception. Your household size went from 2.81 in 2010 to 2.74 in the 2020 census. Now, .07 doesn't sound like a lot, you know, it's a small jump, until you multiply it times 17,000 households. If the household size in 2020 had been the same as 2010, there would have been about 1,250 more people counted the census. And on a very crude measurement on households, mom, dad, whatever the point is kids. So that 1,200 drop, a disproportionately large amount of that was under 18 population. But again, your growth has been so big, so strong for so long, it masks these changes. There's some negative things that kind of brings back your growth rate, so it's not as high as you think it is. If you look at pure building, you would just be way too high, and one is the continued drop in household size. And again, that varies from across the district. You know, you get a high of 2.9 in Oak Trace, 2.58 in Monon Trail. And again, you look at that off the top and say, oh, that's only, you know, 0.32. Well, again, multiply that by, you know, 3,000 housing units, and that's a lot of kids. So it makes a big difference. So again, this is more to show that, you know, there's a lot of deviation in all these trends from the district level, and they each have their own unique characteristics. Householders under 18 population, about 41%. That's high. Most school districts, most in Indiana across the country, that number is in the mid-30s, okay? And households are under 18 population. So it's clearly an area that's suburban. You have young families moving out, bringing their kids with them. Homeowners, 35 to 54, about 44%. But again, a wide range. Monon is the lowest, you know, and then Oak Trace is the highest. Over 65 population, 19.4, and that's a little low for Indiana. Most of them are up in the mid-20s right now. But again, pretty wide range. You go from 21 in Cary down to 17 in Washington. And then there's owner versus renter. The district is 75 or 78%, but again, it's 94, 83, 85, and then there's 65 and 65 there. In demography, we call this housing tenure. It's an underappreciated variable because owners and renters have two completely different dynamics. Renters tend to be younger. Because they're younger, they're poorer, still forming their families, and move an average every 2 years. Owners are older, because they're older, they're wealthier, have completed their family formation, and move an average of 14 years. And there's two numbers when you're looking at kids in households. There's children per household, and there's school-age kids per household. In apartments, that number is relatively wide apart because you'll see the apartments here, they're loaded up with kids. Most of them are preschoolers. But in owner-occupied, that number is much closer together. Not many people go out and drop $500,000-600,000 on a house and say, hey, hon, it's happened to the kid. They're done. You know, these are move-up homes. So depending on what the housing tenure is, what's being built, what the price point is, has an impact on how it's going to affect the population model. 19, almost 20% single-person households. Again, wide range from Monon down to Shamron Springs. Percent of households over 65 that are single, ones will be turning over relatively quickly. Only Monon's above 10%. The rest are low. And this is, you know, this district will not have a large number of homes going on the market as turnover sales going forward. Not like Carmel. Carmel's like 15 years ahead of you in this demographic transition. That's what's going to drive theirs. They're built out anyway, so any home sales they're going to have there is not by building, it's going to be by turnover. The ones that moved out in the 80s and 90s, you don't have that population yet. And your age distribution shows that in the pyramids. Now, this is actually my favorite data from the 2020 census. This is single year of age. So we start getting into the weeds and look at the analysis. In 2020, 5-year-olds are kindergartens. First grade, second, third, fourth, fifth, okay? But here in 2023, these 2-year-olds are now 5-year-olds. That's your kindergarten, first, second, third, fourth, fifth. We can look at the relative cohort size versus your enrollment after Matt Cropper geocoded, we put them all back in the home area. And we can see Is it growth, or is it a big cohort? And as a classic example here is, where'd it go here? Okay, Maple Glen. Okay, 132 pops up to 155, 156 drops down to 125. Okay, one year does not a trend make. So we got a big kindergarten cohort this year, must be growth. My first question is, was it growth or just big cohort going through? Well, here I have the data to check on this. Oak Trace, 151, 141, drops to 119, goes back up to 147, drops to 115. That's just a big cohort going through right there. So I can isolate that because instead of overgeneralizing it to population and enrollment growth, it's just a 1 year. You should have a 20 student increase in that grade that year. It's just a big cohort. At the district level, and this also gives you a size of, this was your kindergarten age cohort in 2020, 815, 664. That tells me how much in-migration you're going to have, and that's about 150 kids born in the 2019 birth cohort just to break even, okay? We calculate that at the district level, and this is what we call your market share. The numbers in red are what your actual first grade enrollment is. Now, no school district gets 100% of their students. You got chartered, you got private, you got transfers, you got virtual, you have homeschool. And also 2020 is the depths of COVID, though. But if you establish your percentages, and if it increases as you go up, your first graders are now second, now third, they're fourth graders this year, yet the percentages are going up. In 21, it was probably COVID returns, but after that, that's how we can measure actual growth in each area in the district level. So you can see it goes from 77 to 85 to 90 to 95. That's sustained growth in that birth cohort. Your kindergarten cohort this year is already at 109% of what it was 3 years ago, counting the census. And again, we could measure this specifically by attendance area at the district, that we build these age-specific migration models. I learned years ago that when a third grader moves, they tend to take the whole family with them, so you can generalize that to the total population. People still have no sense of humor. But you can see it's across all of the grades, all of the ages. It is across the board, it's across the district, it's sustained. It correlates nicely with your building and your home sales. So we're very, very confident that the data is going to support the assumptions in the pop forecast. And this is the population forecast. Each attendance area in your report has its own pop forecast as the sum total for the district for description purposes. There's two ways to read this. You can follow an age group over time. 5 to 9 is your elementary. Goes from 41, 59, 48, 47, 47. Or follow an age cohort through time. 0 to 4 becomes 5 to 9, 10 to 14, 15 to 19. So you can see how this cohort continues to grow as it ages through. Your median age, 36.6, about normal for a suburban area, but it goes up because of an aging population. Your biggest in-migration flows are people 28 to 44 years old bringing 0 to 4-year-olds with them. Your biggest out-migration flows are 18 to 22-year-olds and over 70. 18 to 22 is by far your biggest out-migration flow. So your net migration is about 1,000 a year, which is a very, very healthy rate. The births stay pretty flat. The deaths go up, not because of any disease or anything, but you just have more people we call prime dying age. A natural increase dropping to about 1,000. That will continue to drop as we go beyond. The results of the pop forecast drives the enrollment forecast. My apologies to the audience, it'll be a little tough to read. And go back, my all-time favorite example, my analogy is a bucket of water. If I get a bucket of water, I'm pouring water in the top, there's a hole in the bottom. As long as I'm pouring in faster and it's going out, the bottom level will rise. But if for some reason the hole in the bottom gets bigger, and starts going out faster than I'm pouring in, the level will drop, even if you keep pouring the same rate. That's a key issue for Westfield, okay? Over the last 5 years, the average 12th grade graduating class in the district was 605 students. Over the next 10 years, the average 12th grade class will be 805 students. That's why when you look at these numbers, the first thing that jumped out at me is, oh my God, look at that slowdown in that growth rate at the district, and it's double digits by 2031, 32. Well, if you'll notice, kindergarten, first grade, stay up in the 800s, stay up there. What's happening is, instead of 500, 600 kids graduating out of high school, 600, 700, 800, 900 after 2030. That's why it's slowing down, okay? If you look at the kindergarten, K4, you go, oh my God, 297 down to 84, how can that happen? Well, this year is the first year you're going to have you skipped 700s, you went right from the high 600s to the low 800s for fourth graders moving in. If you were to maintain that same growth rate, you would have to have the same growth rate you had the last 2 or 3 years, plus another 150 students on top of it. You couldn't build homes or sell them fast enough to have kind of turnover. You'd have to be making your empty nesters leave at gunpoint or something to pull that off. So it's not that your growth is slowing down, it's your cohorts are becoming more equal in size. And they stay up in the 800s, okay? The net effect is you still see about 200 more at the elementary level over a 10-year period. And that giant wave is going to start going through, first into the intermediate, then into the middle school, which that goes to 1,700, that goes to 1,900, and the big one, and 2033 is about when you see the full impact in your high school. Going from 2,700 to about 3,900. Of all the numbers in this forecast here, the one I have the most confidence in is that high school, because you could stop building today, have no one move in, and 80% of that growth is going to show up because they're already living in the district. It doesn't depend on people moving in. They're already here. That's just a wave going through. So fortunately, it doesn't get chronic for about 4 or 5 years, but you're looking at a high school well over 3,000, 3,300, and it's coming. They're already here. So challenges at the elementary level, growing in the intermediate, a little later in the decade, your junior high school, and then last hit the high school. 20 minutes, Brian, that's gotta be a record for me.
Jerry, can you talk a little bit about, and I think it's letter F in your assumptions, that when you look at growth, we hear a lot from builders of, I own all this acreage and we're going to put it before council and start building, in next year and have a new home in 25. If it's not approved yet, it's not in the numbers, correct?
Correct. It has to be planned, platted, approved, and permitted. And we assume that in here the 680 is linear, okay? It won't be, of course. It may be 800 one year, 400 the next. I don't think Jerome Powell's going to keep his foot on the gas. I don't think that we're going to see a real big rise in 30-year fixed rates, but I wouldn't look for it to drop either. I think we're probably going to stay in the 7s or the high 6s going into the next moving season. Here in Westfield, like most areas of the country, people with kids move between April and August. So that's when we'll really keep track of what goes in the market in May, what's going to be sold in May. Again, and then the permitting, the developers do the same thing too. They really start ramping up their production about March, depending on the weather. Although last year, they just built right through the winter. I mean, your January, February numbers were. And that's another thing to be careful of too. Just because they've permitted it doesn't mean it's going to be built in like this year. I mean, you go down to Hendricks County, there's still pipe fields down there from 15 years ago that never got built but were permitted. So I always urge a measure of caution on that when you look at your permit numbers. And again, we've been tracking them up here now for like 6 years. So, and there tends to be a good 9 to 18 month delay in what's permitted, what's being built, and that's due to market conditions. But once they start breaking ground, then they've got money invested in it, and they need to move forward on it. One of my friends who's a developer, he gave me the example. He says, if I'm building up 100 house subdivisions, he says, I make no money on house 1 through 10. I make my money on house 80 through 100. So once they've committed to that, then they've got to kind of move forward. So it's not so much the permitting process that I key on, it's when they move in dirt. That's why I want to look at.
Jerry, what, the 9 to 18 month time frame, are you referencing that specific to Westfield?
Yes. Yeah. Most places it would be more like 1 to 3, 4 years. You know, it's everything happens a little faster out here.
So I think traditionally we've had you do this every other year.
I'm sorry, sir?
I said traditionally it seems like we've had you do this every other year.
Yes.
But as Brian alluded to, I guess our perception is there may be a lot of permits that have been delayed, and with the new city government, I guess our concern would be that what if they start ramping up those approvals? Should we have you back every year to try to make sure we stay ahead of this?
We could do that. It's can I answer that from the demographer's perspective?
Right.
Okay. I've been doing this for 30 years now. So I do, because as Brian knows, we call them up every September, send us your ADM number to do our evaluations on. That's how we track it for 3 years. So our mind frame is these should be good for at least 3 years, if not 5, if not 10. My idea of the perfect project is they come back 10 years later, well, time's up, we need another one, you know. But unless something dramatic happens, and something's always dramatically happening here, you know, to come back every year and say, we're on done again, first thing pops in my mind is, God, was I that far off? You know, it's actually kind of insulting, but you think about it. But that's most districts, as I opened up with. This is not most districts. I mean, none of the rules apply in Westfield, Washington. None of them, not one of them. So when you ask that question, it actually makes a lot of sense, okay? Because you have so much growth, you have so much demographic inertia. Your surrounding area, Carmel's built out, okay? They're not going to Zionsville. Noblesville's built out. They're heading over to Wayne Township and Southeastern and all that. It's not going to go north. There's not enough infrastructure north to compensate it. Once 31 was done, the cast was die then, okay? I was just at Lebanon last week doing their forecast presentation, and they've got 65 going through there and Lilly coming in. They're all excited about that. But that's area specific. I mean, that's a major change in migration trends, and it's between Lafayette and them. There's a whole different dynamic going on out here. This is the epicenter of the north side of Indianapolis suburbanization movement. You know, I hate to break it to the folks at Tipton, it's just not going to get up there. You know, just not in this world. Okay. Sheridan can't handle it. So the only place that's going to be, you got all of Monon out there that can be developed, and the only thing holding it back now is water and sewer, you know, and well, your road infrastructure too, and we'll find out later maybe you're a little short on buildings. There's a great rule in demography that infrastructure improvement always lags population growth. The faster the population growth, the bigger the lag. The school buildings, personnel, and all that is infrastructure. No, just like it is with roads and water and sewer and retail and everything else. And the faster your pop grows, the harder it is to build enough infrastructure to keep up with that. So again, in your case, it makes a lot of sense because those parameters, it's not so much error in my forecast, it's the parameters can change so much. I mean, political, economic, social, demographic, there's a lot of variables out there that you guys are susceptible to your district that can change very quickly. I won't pick on an Indiana district. I'll just say where I live now, South Carolina. You know, where's the safest place to be when World War III breaks out? South Carolina, because everything happens there 20 years behind the rest of the country. There's places down there that haven't changed since the Civil War. You know, they don't have to worry about these issues you guys do. I'm from Indiana, by the way, so I can say that kind of stuff. They call me a Yankee down there. Well, that's on a good day. So to answer your question, sure. In your case, annual, at least an evaluation, at the absolute minimum. We do that anyway. And if something dramatic does change, maybe do a recalculation. I'd hate to see the district spend any more money than they have to, you know. My Scottish blood will not allow that.
Right.
Can I just clarify, as far as the evaluation goes, in addition to the September ADM numbers, would you also take into account, so say you have a 150 home development permitted, and between now and this time next year, that has turned, the developers changed, and they realize that they can move it faster if they change it to, instead of move up homes, starter homes, and then that could wildly swing those permit results?
That's an excellent question, because we have it at 680 now. If there's some kind of change in economic or political or social climate that says that's going to be closer to 800, or conversely go down to 500, yeah, that's a major violation of the assumptions, and that would warrant, you know, maybe not so much in the short term, but definitely in the long term, you would want to modify your models for that. So that's actually a very key point.
Okay. Thank you.
You mentioned the standard rules don't apply here
Yeah.
for Westfield, and I think you're alluding to it in some of your comments, but can you maybe just expand on why is that the case, and you know, is it because we have so much room to build out still, or can you just give some of your thoughts on that?
Westfield nirvana, what's there to explain, you know, I mean. Think of it in demographic terms, I'd call it the perfect storm. You're in the right place at the right time with the right neighbors and the right economy, you know. All the things have kind of come together, you know. If Carmel hadn't built out 15 years ago, you wouldn't be in the situation right now. If they hadn't gotten 31 done to make it a decent commuter route, you wouldn't be in the situation right now. If they hadn't had all the open land exchange of water and sewer at that particular point in time, it wouldn't have happened like this. So all these things had to happen at once. And it goes back to what this lady here was saying, is the fact that could change, positive or negative, you know, if it won't happen. But let's say Carmel decides next week that they're going to become an open district and not be closed anymore. That's another one that would change things dramatically, okay? We've seen that happen in districts that go from open to close or closed to open. It changes everything. So again, these parameters, there's a lot of them, but those assumptions, they're pretty tight. You guys are you're in the sweet spot right now. So, but it can and will change. The question comes, will it change positive or negative, and will it be quickly enough change to modify what our forecasts are? So.
Jerry, you made a comment, no geographic area is the same, right? And so we can't help ourselves out here in Hamilton County comparing to other places. But what I take, so, you know, how Carmel or how Noblesville or Southeastern grows, but what I hear is we have to trust the data and not pay attention to that to some degree. Is that true, right? I mean, historically, you say, hey, I've experienced this or I've experienced that, so then you try to apply it, but...
As both a demographer and statistician, I've always urged caution on overgeneralizing or even generalizing in all trends you see in other areas. If there's one thing I've learned, as right when I came out of grad school, figured this out, it's the unique characteristics, and you never see it replicated by geography or by time. Just because it happened, like Carmel, you know, had their big growth in the 80s and 90s, okay, and into the 2000s. That was a unique time. For one reason, the baby boom was 30 years younger, you know. The baby boom now is in downsizing, so the boom's impact on this is not for growth, but it's tied into how many turnover homes are going to be put on the market, you know. So I never like to generalize anybody else's trend, you know, because of It's different time, if nothing else. Fertility rates have been dropping, and the births have been dropping for 15 years too now. And I'll throw that out too for another generalization. We're just now starting to get decent data from the CDCs and the state boards of health on COVID. And like everybody else, fixated on deaths. Yeah, we had 400,000 excess deaths in 20 and again in 21. People didn't notice was births dropped by 120,000. It's about a 3% drop. We checked the Indiana data, same thing in this state. I blame social distancing myself. So now it popped back up in 22 with a little delayed childbearing, was dropping back down again in 23. But what it does mean, even for a district like this, particularly it's dependent upon people moving in with kids, that you're going to see relatively small kindergarten, first grade cohorts coming in 24, 25, and 26. We call them the COVID cohorts. That coincides with the 06, 07, 08 birth cohorts, which were the largest ones, not only nationwide, but also in Indiana, graduating out. Now, it won't affect you guys nearly as much because you've had so much growth that masks a lot of these trends, but it's still there. You have to account for it. So you will see a little dipsy doodle in there on the trends, but that's what we call one of the COVID effects that we're seeing. Much bigger issue in a lot of the other suburban counties, but that's why I don't want to generalize something. There's always something different out there.
Is there any other questions?
I'll just kind of make a comment related to Destination Westfield. As you know, most of you know, we're building a new elementary school, rebuilding Shamrock, and a new middle school. Along some other, that just gets us caught up on our growth. I think that's important to say. What Jerry can't predict what he doesn't know. He doesn't know which housing additions are not coming in yet. I mean, he can only predict on, there's so much going on out there, and we hear about this development and that development that, that's why having Jerry come back, at least reevaluate this a year from now, because Brian, I've been attending meetings with developers and builders, and we know there's going to be an increased amount, but we just don't know. So it's hard to create data that we don't know yet. That's from that standpoint. But as we start talking about what we're building now, it's based on what we have right now. The scary part is we don't know what's coming and where it's going to go and things like that. So I just want to point out is, again, what we're doing right now, Destination Westfield, is to kind of get us caught up and maybe a little ahead in elementary and maybe a little bit ahead in the middle school. But, we have almost 3,000 kids in a high school today. And so we got a lot of work to do. So Brian, any other comments on that or anything?
I was just going to say this is really step one as we go through this. Step two then is starting to look at new boundaries as we go through, and we'll talk to Jerry after tonight and kind of work through that path as we move forward as well.
Can I get on a limb and give you a free forecast? Start planning on your 7th elementary. Start planning for a 7th elementary. Okay.
No, so, is he?
No. This is part of the next phase, is the rebalancing, how we're going to go K-5.
Yeah, so that's not taken in there. Part of what Destination Westfield is as we reconfigure, we'll have 8 K through 5 elementaries.
Okay.
But this
what I like coming up here. There's always something new and a surprise getting thrown at me every time I come before
and
this
two 6 through 8 middle schools.
Okay. Yeah, we're working with the South Carolina just trying to do that right now, and I know now why they lost the Civil War. So this is all nice and good, and I'm glad to see that the district is being proactive to address these issues. It's very, very important. And you've got 6 years to get it figured out. Because if pardon my language, you're going to have all hell breaking loose at the high school after 2030. Okay? And to go back to the point I made before, they're already here, So the only way this cannot happen is if there's a massive out-migration of households with kids. And I can't see that happening.
Right,
So
yeah.
It literally is the freight train in the tunnel.
Yeah.
The headlight you're seeing there. So
Dr. Kaiser's stressed out enough. Please don't stress him out more. Yes.
Just steady as a rock.
Well,
He's seen it all before.
You can't control what you can't control, but,
Yeah.
you know, it's just so our patrons know, you know, Brian and I and John and company, we're meeting with developers. We're really trying to figure out and try to get an idea on that. We'll have a warm map of where we know things are going, and then we'll be able to provide that to
Right.
Jerry when those become actually officially done. But there's a lot of discussion, a lot of things going on, and I say it's the scary part, but, you know, we think we can plan for it. We think we'll be organized for it. And we spent a lot of time getting to where we are in Destination Westfield, and that just constantly continues. We've talked about somewhere down the road, maybe a need for a third middle school just because of growth. One factor that's important is we're 12% larger landmass than Carmel is right now. We're not as large as Southeastern, but we're 12% larger.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's a factor. Again, we can't put our thumb on it, but it's a factor. And unless something drastically changes, we're pretty confident homes are going to be built and developed. We just don't know how fast and where.
And that's a key factor, sir, because I want to bring up one other point. I'm a demographer, not a soothsayer. If I could actually see the future, I wouldn't be doing this for a living. So I don't think anybody 2 years ago saw the 30-year fixed rate doubling from 3.5 to 7. I don't know. Going to go up. I never think it would be that much. Something happens and it goes to 9 and 10%, which, you know, to those of us from the 70s and 80s, remember that, you know. Not even vaulted Westfield, Washington would be immune to 7 and 10%, or 10 to 9 to 10% rates. You would see a slowdown in home sales and building. Okay. It would take something, another reason why to go back and kind of look at annually and say, okay, this is what's changed. But if it did happen, I'll be the first to tell you, my forecast will be too high. Because I don't have 9 or 10% 30-year fixed rate in my models, okay? And that would be an even better reason to go back. We're going to recalculate and assume how much longer that's going to be to do that.
Okay, thank you. That's a lot to think about. Any other questions? Okay.
If you do think of any questions, Brian has this, and I don't know how he does it. He can always find me wherever I am in the country, tracks me down. So please pass them on to him, and I'm sure he'll get a hold of me. And we'll be chatting soon anyway, won't we? Okay.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to our next item on our agenda, and that is the design build one proposer resolution. And again, Brian Tomomichael.
Yeah, so speaking of growth, so as we look at the eventual remodel of the intermediate and middle school, as we look at the next phases of Destination Westfield, after elementaries are built and middle school's built, will be the remodel of the intermediate and middle school and through the design build process. So we had issued the RFQ, request for qualifications. With that, groups could submit their qualifications in to then go on to the RFP round or request for proposal round. Through that process, we had one group make a successful submittal, performance service, and actually Mary Ann and Nick are out in the audience right now as well. So resolution authorizes us continue to move through the process of selecting a firm. So then we will issue the RFP after this evening if approved, and then it would then be in the hands of performance service to submit a bid. Our technical review committee would then review that bid prior to the December 12th board meeting, and then we would bring a final recommendation to proceed at that board meeting in December 12th. So we would ask that you approve resolution 2023-33, authorizing us to continue in the design build process with the one submittal.
Okay, before we do you have any questions? I know we've talked about this for many, many months. We've talked to the fine folks at Performance Services for many, many months. And we've talked with Brian about this for a long time. So I'm sure we've all asked a lot of questions and got a lot of those questions answered. But does anybody have any more comments or questions tonight? Okay, I guess we're all talked out. Okay, so I will entertain a motion to approve the resolution 2023-33 authorizing the continued use of the design build public works project method for the Westfield Intermediate School and Westfield Middle School remodel as presented.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2023-33 authorizing the continued use of the design build public works project method for the Westfield Intermediate School and Westfield Middle School remodel as presented.
Okay, can I get a second? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, thank you. Thanks, guys. Okay, we're going to move on. Next item on the agenda is the Westfield High School band's overnight field trips. And again, Brian.
Yep, and if the board's okay, we actually have 2 sets of overnight field trips. We can just do them both at once. All right, so first up is WHS, Winter Guard field trip, Winter Winds field trip, Winter Indoor Percussion field trip, and Winter Winds field trip. Basically, all of them are taking place between March and April. Our kids, depending on which one, will miss a day or 2 of school as they go through, and then all these are funded through the Westfield Band Boosters. These trips are similar to what they've taken in prior years, so just reauthorizing permission. And then the second one is Westfield Middle School Family Career and Community Leaders Association, or the FCCLA Club, has the opportunity to represent Westfield Middle School and WWS as participating in the 2024 FCCLA State Conference in Muncie, Indiana, February 29th through March 2nd. Students will miss a day and a half of school for this event, and on this specific field trip, the students are responsible for the cost. So we would ask that the board approve the high school band field trips and then also the middle school FCCLA overnight field trips.
Okay, do we have any questions for Brian on these 2 items? Okay, I think we're still going to have to vote separately, but okay. Yes or no? Can we do it together?
Yep, here we go. Motion to approve the overnight field trip for Westfield High School Band Program as presented, along with the WMS FCCLA Club meeting February 29th through March 2nd, 2024, as presented.
All right, thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. So those 2 agenda items are approved. And I've said it before, I'll say it again, I think our band programs are really fantastic, and these are great opportunities for these kids to really enjoy it. Okay, let's see. So next item on the agenda is we're now going down to the 2023-2024 curricular material fees in developmental preschool. Dr. Atha.
Mr. Anderson, members of the board, as you are aware, this past legislative session, the ability for us to charge textbook rental and fees to parents was changed, and so those costs now are assumed by the district. However, we can still charge a fee in our early learning center and developmental preschool courses that wasn't a part of that law. So if you remember kind of the chaos in May, June, and July, we did not bring to the board the developmental preschool fees. I do want to note we did update this fee last year to $80, and it will remain at $80 this year. So just to make sure that we take board action as we charge parents in that program, this $80 fee, we bring to you that tonight, and we would recommend approval.
Okay, any discussion or questions, comments?
This is a fee that you had last year that you implemented?
Yeah. This is for developmental preschool, which is housed in our early learning center, and it goes towards materials and snacks for our 3- and 4-year-old students who are in that program.
So it's not a surprise to the parents because they've
No,
already had
not
this.
at all. And we've already communicated with them that fee has remained the same.
And we would have probably talked about this in the spring had it not been
Right.
for.
We kind of just
change.
paused all that approval. And then this kind of it was all set ready to go.
Right.
And then we paused it, and we never did bring this to the board. So
Well, now we've got some clarification.
yeah, and so the business department, as they started to send out those invoices, said, "Hey, did the board approve this year?" And we said they did not. So we're asking you to do that this evening.
Catching up. All right, well then, if there's no more discussion, I'll entertain a motion to approve. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Do we call it a curricular fee? You said it was for materials and snacks.
I think we actually, let's take a, I moved on. We call it a curricular material cost or fee for developmental preschool, and then we describe it as snacks and supplies. So it's really not a curricular fee. It is for snacks and supplies.
Yeah, so when we think about all of our pre-K programming, our typical peer pre-K are paying for the day cost to go, plus their supplies are included in their fee they're paying. Our developmental preschool, we do not charge, under state law, we don't charge for that program, but we can charge for the supplies that we utilize. So since they do not have a weekly fee like our typical peers do, we then charge the supply fee to make it through the week, or really through their entire programming. And they've had it the last several years. As John mentioned, usually in the past when we brought all the fees to the board, this was just one of the line items. And as he said, when we went to bill them this year, we were like, did we approve this since we did not bring the other ones this year? Really
And this would only be, again, this is for our developmental preschool, special education preschool students you have to be 3 years old to be in that program. And so like Brian said, that is, funded. It's not a for-pay program like the rest of the preschool.
So is it $80 a year, or is it $80 a week?
$80 for the year.
Okay.
And we've always charged, I believe we charged, they asked us to up it so for the 22-23 year, I think we went from $65 to $80. So last year we charged $80 to the parents, and then we're asking to keep it constant at $80. And that was just a little bit with inflation with the foods and snacks. They ask us. Prior to that, and we remember we brought it in-house, this program ran at each elementary school, one class at each elementary school.
Are these classes full, or?
They are full.
Okay.
They're not, I missed it. They're probably not all full because we can't predict who gets in, but we have, I believe right now we have 9 classrooms, 9. And we are, with some of our preschools, some of those classes are integrated with our preschools as well because they need.
And this is offered to the teachers in Westwood Washington school districts first?
This is, a student would have to go through testing and qualify for this program. Typically, speech delays students are, so it's a special education program.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, any other questions? All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the fee of $80 for developmental preschool for the 2023-2024, I think, school year for snacks and supplies as presented.
I make a motion to approve the 2023-34 school year for snacks and supplies.
Just 24.
I think it's just the 2024.
2024, sorry.
Can I get a second?
I'm looking at it.
You said second. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion passes. We'll move on to the next item, the destruction of obsolete Westfield Middle School instructional materials. Again, Dr. Athan.
As you're aware, we had 3 curricular resource adoptions last year: science, social studies, and not all grades, but mainly K through 8. And mathematics. And so what you see here are curricular resources that are obsolete, no longer used, and we're asking for the board to make a motion to dispose of these. Then we will make them available to students if they want those, but if not, we will destroy them. As you can see, we have all new algebra, geometry books, and so these books are in a storeroom, and we need to get them out of the building.
So these are probably around when Mike was there, and he drew all over them, so now they're old.
Actually, there are some books that were from previous adoptions as well.
Yeah.
As you know, with Dr. Hoover coming in, and we're trying to focus on, I want to use the word fidelity, use our adopted resource with fidelity. That doesn't mean do it with fidelity, right? Like you don't go from page 1, but it is your primary resource, and you don't use other resources instead of that. Now, there are reasons to have supplementary resources, and so because we did that with a big math committee last year that represented K through 8, we asked them as we brought in this new resource to kind of purge the old resources. And so, as you know, we, in that adoption, had over 95% of our teachers, if you will, vote to go with the resource we used. And so, and as Dr. Kaiser and I visit schools and talk to them, although 3 resources at one time is a lot of work, they are very complimentary of the resource and actually say they feel like, you know, for the first time, they have a resource that they have confidence in. So.
All right, very good. Any other questions? Okay, I will entertain a motion to approve the disposal of obsolete textbooks as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the obsolete textbooks as presented.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion passes. We'll move on to the Westfield High School course book changes. Dr. Atha.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson, members of the board. So annually, our high school updates their course offerings booklet in preparation for scheduling. So we just completed our first trimester, and we're switching now to scheduling, beginning the process to schedule students for the 24-25 school year, which begins in December. And so there is, in the materials, there was a quick summary update of courses that we're offering, pathways that we're offering, courses that we're removing from the course book because of lack of interest. And then we did update some courses, so sometimes standards change or course descriptions from the Department of Education may change, and so then we need to update those as well. And so this is then the document that we share with students and families that is our entire course offerings. The one thing I do want to note that Westfield High School has always been what I consider a kind of student choice offering. So they really try to listen to students in what they're requesting and asking for, not selecting or no longer want, and to update this their course offerings on a regular basis or annually to meet kind of that interest level of our students. And so these updates kind of represent that as well. And then any other program or offering that we're required to add or we're trying to grow.
Okay, and I know that my perception is that we didn't have to alter this course, meaning we're able to do what we wanted to do based on what you just said, even though there was a legislative change. So in other words, we could still continue to offer these courses, even though some of these we're covering the fees for, because we're able to do that. Now, some school systems maybe can't, but
yeah, so
we're able to do that.
And this is kind of a side note, right? We believe, or we're hopeful in this legislative session that they'll clarify curriculum materials and what can and cannot. And there are some courses, obviously, that are very much value added for families, like dual credit AP courses. If you take the testing, some of those that we believe that while it is a charge to our parents and families, they are okay with that because they get a benefit of possible college credit, which again is a value added in addition to what a regular course we would provide that was just a Westfield credit. So as Brian works with the IASBO team and the legislative efforts from that organization, we're hopeful that that will be updated. So not driving what we believe we should offer. We're going to do that for our students and for our families, but then we're always going to advocate that we're fully funded with those offerings.
Very good. Okay, any other questions or discussion?
great there, or maybe this might be a Chris question as well. So you mentioned that fiscal impact is just the staff required to get programs up and running with new courses going into, I guess, next year. Do you envision having to hire, like how many more staff would you envision having to hire?
I would add to that, typically that's what happens, right? So if we grow, the increase in student enrollment hopefully offsets the cost for adding a teacher, and we're not adding courses that need a specific licensure that we would have to go out. Occasionally that does happen, again, if we're trying to get a new program up and running, a lot of times maybe in the CTE course, but then the funding from the student for taking that course helps us offset the staffing cost. The one thing I will add is we become more diverse as a community and as a district. Those supports that may need to be in place. So we added several EL teachers last year to support our English language learners, our multilingual students. And so that might be something that as we grow, we have to look to, that's not necessarily related to our offerings, but to the supports for our students.
And I'll piggyback off that real quick. For example, last year we hired 6 additional EL teachers, additional special ed teachers, and two parent liaisons that are multilingual. So that's just an example as we talk about our globally diverse population, how it's changing, and finding EL teachers is a challenge. So we're fortunate to be able to do that. So we look at our data, we look at our student growth, and we look at across all aspects. We're bringing in kids from all over the world, and some can't speak any level of English. And that becomes interesting and challenging, but well worth the challenge. As you heard tonight, once they learn the language, many of them excel. So we put a lot of resources, and we'll continue to do that. And being a high school principal, we really don't know exactly. We may have a ton of kids that want to take these classes, but we won't know until they start enrolling. But as Chris said, right now we think we have enough flexibility, but we brought in a larger freshman class than our senior class last year, and the 8th grade class is going to be, so we'll know that over the next 2 to 3 months when the scheduling takes place. But we've put a lot of resources, as John said, to meet our growing population here in global diversity.
So one of the things that brought to mind that I don't think I've discussed is Crystal Thompson, our coordinator for English language services, has a cohort, a teacher cohort through a partnership with IUPUI. So I think there might be 18 of our current our teachers who are getting their EL certification through a grant process that we jumped onto. And so they meet weekly with a professor, Dr. Tima, and then through that process. And this certification is free of cost to them, and so that's a great benefit. And I'll have provide the board with more information, have Crystal give us an update on that program and who's involved and so forth. We kind of got on board last spring, got it up and running this fall, but it's a way, as Dr. Kaiser said, trying to have enough EL teachers to support our multilingual learners. They just weren't there, so we're trying to grow our own with great teachers that we have and to get them certified.
Great.
I think my biggest takeaway for the general updates of this document was starting with the class of 2028, students will now need to take a personal financial responsibility class. And then the PE changes, I would just be curious personally, those changing and the less requirements in regards to physical education. I find that interesting.
Right? You want to?
Yeah, I'll address that. Going back to about 8 or 9 years ago, we were allowed to give credit for kids in marching band.
Right.
And also if you're an athlete. And most of our athletes still take phys ed, but they'll skip maybe one of the basic classes and jump right into weightlifting. So we're not really losing much in our staffing pattern, and that'll kind of balance with our new enrollment. But if you know much about marching band, they're out there from July through 2 weeks ago. So the state allows us to give us credit for that.
Yeah, I guess I would just be the concern of all those kids you didn't mention, and getting everyone outside and exercising.
Yeah. So there's no doubt, I would say, I would call that right sizing the sweet spot, right? Our high school has always required 1 extra credit in physical education than is required by the state. So to some degree, that has been good for our wellness efforts, but it also can be a hindrance, especially, I'll speak personally, Dr. Kaiser knows this. If you don't know, I have a sophomore, but went to 7th and 8th grade, played 3 sports, and took physical education or wellness every day. So, and so not that was also probably his favorite course as well, but I probably wanted him involved in, so what is the balance? And so trying to get that where kids can choose and have a voice in the offerings and the choice, but at the same time, if they are spending 2 to 3 hours after school at an athletic practice, I'm not saying we eliminate anything, but maybe we find the right spot to say, hey, here's what you need to learn in the health classroom, and you don't need the physical activity. Not trying to, again, just open up opportunities for different passions that students have.
Yeah, again, I look at it from the band performance. When you're on a trimester schedule, it's a good schedule, but you only take 5 classes at one time. So by not taking an extra class, you can pick up another elective. It'll help you take another core class. And again, the kids, especially in marching band, they're not short on activity during their season. So, but again, it's not going to reduce our numbers as we grow. It'll be good balancing that.
Actually, our numbers in advanced physical education and strength and conditioning, right? Yeah, and so I do think, though, there might be, we have a lot of students who participate in Indiana Online for physical education, and so, yeah, so they're,
We require them to take at least 1 class.
right. So I think our physical education department, wellness department, want to get back to the basics with one of those courses. And so because they were that extra credit and kids were taking 2 online PE classes, 1 health class, the experience was broad and depending on what, and so the physical activity one is not concerned as much as they are for the health content that kids need in wellness. And so we're trying to maybe reduce one of those credits, bring it back in-house, so free up those teachers to teach health instead of letting it happen online. And I can, that's something, our curriculum meeting on December 1st with you and Mr. Cox, we can speak to that in more detail. How's that?
Okay, very good. Any other questions? All right, I will entertain a motion to approve the 2024-2025 Westfield High School course catalog as presented.
I will make a motion to approve the 24-25 Westfield High School course catalog as presented.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carries. Let's move on to the next item, which is policy H250, school library material removal request procedure, first reading.
So I don't know if Dr. Kaiser will jump in at all. We are going through a process where we're going to review and update all of our board policies. I believe Mike Hall, Wave Mike, is going to be on the point for that, and then Mr. Baldwin, Mr. Tom and Michael, myself, and Dr. Kaiser will participate where we see that we need to. However, we bring this policy and form for a first read because there is a new state law that goes into effect January 1, 2024, that requires us to have a procedure to allow parents or community members to challenge a book in our library, our school library, if it has obscene matter or performance, or matter or performance harmful to minors. Those are both defined in Indiana code. Both of those, the law says we can't have books that meet that definition. So one of the things our librarians are doing, trying to make sure that any book that, every one of our school libraries has anywhere from 12,000 to 17,000 books. So we have a lot of books in our libraries. But obviously, if there is a book that shouldn't be there, this policy outlines the process for that patron to have a conversation with the school principal. If they're still not happy, the law says they need to be able to appeal it to the Board of School Trustees, and so it outlines that. For folks in the audience, this board is online in board docs, this policy, this first read, so if you want to review it, and then we will ask the board in December to adopt the final version and the form. So if the board has any feedback, or if anyone in the community, I was going to say you could email Mike Hall, but you can reach out to any of us for feedback on that policy that you would like us to share with the Board of School Trustees. And certainly this policy has been adopted by our legal counsel and related to the law. And so we want to have it in place prior to January 1. We will have then this process that Dr. Kaiser will lay out for review with you of all of our other policies or any new policies we need to add.
And I'll just add that, this is very prescriptive from the state.
Absolutely.
What needs to be in it, and you're going to see this verbiage. The 292 plus school corporations in the state, everybody has to adopt one, and using the feedback from the School Board Association, the Superintendent's Association, local attorneys, they're all going to be somewhere within this genre. I've never been in a school where we didn't have a policy or procedure if you objected to material. John and I both being former high school principals, many times we'd have a parent would object to XYZ book. We say, no problem, we'll assign another book. This goes a little bit deeper with library materials, and we're pretty confident that our librarians have done a wonderful job in reviewing throughout the years on what's appropriate for our kids and things like that. So, but it's a process if there's a concern. Again, if you have a question ahead of time, please reach out to me. I'll be glad to meet with you. And John, we can kind of walk you through it, but it's pretty designed from the state down to us to working with our attorneys. So. Pretty common, you're going to see this in every district, something of this nature. So, again, first read, just very quickly, we're going through all our school policies, and we'll be bringing those to the board over the next 6 months to a year. And again, Mike's the newest member, so we assign it to him because we love him so much now. As Director of Operations, a lot of them will revolve around operations and how we do things, and Chris will be involved in personnel, John and I in various things, and Brian, because we have fiscal policy we have to fire. So it's a good time. We have not gone through and just reviewed those, and we realize Church and Hiddle, they're kind of the keepers of that, and they've got a good flavor for our community and in Hamilton County as we adopt different policies. But most of those will be just reviewing legal updates similar to this one, so that's the process we'll be going through.
Yeah, and I do want to, assure the board and that we, not every day, but on a regular basis, we have parents that might have a concern for any reason, and they reach out to our school librarians, they reach out to the principal, and 99.9% of the time, we work through that. We currently have parents who have gone through that process who don't want their child to check out this book or that book. One that comes to mind is a book about death because of some of the things the child, we can put guardrails in place and make sure that that happens. So we're confident that if a parent has, extra support they need, that's what we do. We partner with parents as the first educators of their children to help make sure their children experience success. So while this policy is needed by law, I don't think it will change the core of who we are and how we operate.
And again, just a reminder, our past practice is we take policy through twice. Sometimes we have a new policy that'll come from the state, and we may not be able to take it through twice, but as this one, and also as we review the updated policies, our practice is to get them to the board, talk about them publicly, and then come back the following month and adopt them. Normally during that second reading, we do it pretty quickly, because the board's had it for over 2 months and have a chance to review it, so.
Yeah, so there's no action on this tonight, just the first read.
Very good. Okay, we'll move on. If everybody's done? Good. Okay, we'll move on to the curriculum update.
Yeah, just quickly, first of all, the big ticket last Thursday, we had the end of the trimester. Last Thursday, we had a professional development day with our teachers. And so that day, just to remind everybody, is kind of a job-embedded day that we have implemented to try to execute Dr. Kaiser's goal of vertical and horizontal articulation alignment. And so last Thursday, we had all our kindergarten teachers across the district meeting with an instructional coach, all our first grade teachers, all our second grade teachers. And so they're going through with the new curriculum adoptions and their essential standards. And, they're able to have conversation about those important topics. We know sometimes that's a burden, or it is a burden on our parents. We appreciate their support in that, but the research is pretty clear that when we provide our teachers that time, right, learning increases, they're more confident in their craft. So then the intermediate school and the high school, the intermediate school worked within their building, as did the middle school and high school. So that happened last Thursday. Then Friday was just a teacher work day and a conference day. As Dr. Kaiser mentioned, Washington Woods does student-led conferences through their Leader in Me process, so that allowed them to do that. And then just a couple other things that Dr. Hoover wanted me to mention. We had our third New Educator Academy of the Year today. We've differentiated that, so we have one for our elementary teachers, one for our intermediate, and then middle and high school. Those continue to be phenomenal experiences for our new teachers. Today it was really talking about scaffolding and having visual thinking in your classroom. It was pretty good, and we were able to get to all 3 sessions prior to our groundbreaking, so that was awesome. And I just want to compliment our instructional coaches who have just taken that. Again, that was one I think of Dr. Kaiser's strategic initiatives to get that in place, and we continue to get great feedback from that. That program's in its second year. And then just our math committee, are they getting together this week? Thursday. So this is the first time they're going to come back together from adopting the resource last year, so they've had a trimester of using it, so they're going to get back together. I'm sure they'll have a lot of good input and questions for us on Thursday, so looking forward to that. And then our English Language Arts Committee continues to do a deep dive into the science of reading and working with Dr. McNeil from the Service Center so that we can set our sights on having a new and common resource across the district, not only to meet the letter of the law that has come down, but also to enhance the teaching and learning of reading and to make it more consistent across all 6 of our elementaries, soon to be 8, and so that will be important. So that's it.
Okay, thank you. I know that's a ton of work, but obviously as we grow and as Chris keeps hiring more people to keep up with us, that becomes even more important than it already is today. So thank you for all that. A lot of work. Okay, I think we're ready to move on to our communication update. Mr. Andrews.
Thank you very much. I want to start with first something I'm very proud of. If you have been to Westfield High School within the past few days, maybe I think this week, there is now the mural that was created by Bailey Rubel on Rox Media House for when the First Lady came. That was seen prominently in the background on both of the locations that we talked to her. That's now up in the high school in 2 spots. And it's also kind of at central office, there's, as soon as you walk in the first foyer on the left, there's like a bunch of different pieces of Westfield history in there, and that mural is also placed in there. So I'm very proud that Bailey got to use her talents and create an original piece that is not only seen with the First Lady, but also now put up in our school district and as a part of the history. And thank you to CSI Science for making that happen so quickly. Bailey's not here tonight because she did the Maple Glen Elementary School musical performance stream, and that's something that we have taken on this year, is to kind of pilot the program of how the 3 of us and our current equipment can get into and start streaming these events, because as Dr. Kaiser says, there's that grandmother in California who also wants to see her grandchild sing and do all these other things. So we started doing that this year, and it's already off to a blazing start. I mean, I think I just checked a couple of minutes ago, and we were up to almost 2,000 streams of our performances so far, and there's about 160 from tonight alone. And that's a lot of distant relatives, that's a lot of people who couldn't make it tonight who even live here, and also there's a lot of people who get to relive their moments of their kids on stage. Even if they were there to see it, they could relive it again and again. So that was something Dr. Kaiser had pushed for, and Rox Media House this year wanted to take a step toward getting that to happen. His grand goal is to see everything streamed everywhere, and there's just not enough hours in the day for the 3 of us to do that, so we're going to take it step by step, and I think we're off to a great start. This past weekend we did Winter Media Day, which is always a fun thing, and the students enjoy it, and the athletic department gets a lot of value out of the content that we give them. There was cheerleading, girls and boys basketball, gymnastics, wrestling, and girls and boys swimming. And it was, every time that we do this, it's getting a little bit more easier because the students have done it a couple of times, we've done it a few times, and it's a very well-oiled machine at this point, and it's going to continue to be something that brings a lot of value to the students, to the families who get to see their kids in this very professional setting, and for the district to be able to promote and highlight our student athletes. This past weekend was also the second Men of Westfield meeting hosted by Nick Hardwick, the former NFL player, now a Westfield High School assistant coach. And there was, the attendance for that was bigger than it was the first time as well. And we got a couple of good media placements on that. So I think that's another thing about in our community that's going to give value to the men of our community, and hopefully with these well-adjusted men, their families also benefit as well. And I'm starting to ramp up again the promotion for the Indiana State University Pro MBA program. Is looking to get it going again this coming fall. So we are starting with virtual meetings and informational meetings, and I'm working closely with the people at ISU to get that going. We didn't make it the first time, but we got a good amount of people to apply for the program, and those same people will be granted admission for this next one. But we think that with our plan that we have now, we'll definitely get a good amount of people to become a part of that program happening right here, to bring the MBA program right here in Westfield. About 15, yeah. Yeah. It was brand new, and we had about a 2-month runway, and the people who we were working with, they didn't think we were going to get one, and we got about 6. So they said our promotions and our communications was great to get the word out there, but now that we have a longer runway, we're fully confident that we'll get what we need to happen. And that's it for my update. Thank you.
Well, I know you touched on it, but again, thank you for all the streams. I was talking to Dr. Kaiser and Dr. Athan about that. I thought streams would be in the dozens, which would be great. I didn't expect 2,000, and it's only been going on for a couple of weeks. That's it, right?
About a week, yeah.
'Cause I checked it last week, it was like 1,200, and we're already blown past that. And I was really appreciative of the thumbnail. I know it sounds small, but the thumbnails you put on there, I never thought of that until I saw it. I was like, that really looks great. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Okay, so I think we're ready to move on to the next. Unless anybody have any questions for Josh or anything? Okay, we'll move on to the next item, which I guess is about our last item. It's success stories, and so let's see. We'll start down there with Jimmy.
Yeah, just Josh, thanks for bringing up Nick Hardwick. I think that's a great success story we have. So definitely for the men in the room, pay attention to that. You left out an important factor, though. He's a Purdue grad. So just, you left out as a Rutgers grad, if you can't hear. So, but on a serious note, so he does a lot of work for the foundation, and we have Giving Tuesday coming up. And so, if you feel so inclined, please feel free to keep the foundation on your radar. Ashley and the team there are doing a great job with Rocks Giving on Monday. So, hope to see you all out at that. But the foundation does a lot of work to give scholarships out to our students, gives grants to our teachers, so it's a great place to donate some of your money. So keep them in mind for Giving Tuesday.
I want to say congratulations to Maple Glen. They won the state spell bowl competition last night, and last Friday, Westfield beat Hamilton Southeastern in the football game, so it was streamed, and there was tons of people watching it and tons of people there. Now the football team heads to Crown Point, and it won't be local broadcast, it's semi-state, so the High School Athletic Association, you have to pay to watch the game.
That is correct. However, there will be an audio stream for free that we will make available. I'll put it in the Shamrock Blast. Since IHSAA has exclusive rights for broadcasting the video, we will have an audio stream for that as well, available for free.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. And yes, Rocks Giving, it's very important. Ashley mentioned it, so did Jimmy. And then also the foundation opened up Bourbon and Bling. Sign up to join us for the event at Moyer on December 13th. Only 150 tickets. It's going to go fast. Sign up if you want to go.
I'll add a couple of things. First of all, just the Rocks Media House and Ashley, that whole group are superstars. I could talk about our new branding, I could talk about t-shirts. I mean, we have done so much in that area. And I told Josh when I got here, I'm serious about that grandmother in California. And, we have a show going at 7 o'clock, which is 4 o'clock there. They can watch their grandchild live. And those numbers will continue to go up because those links are there. And again, if we put them in the blast again this week, there'll be more people hitting on it. It's just part of really trying to bring everybody involved. There's just so much going on. I went to the marching band contest 2 weeks ago. Our kids, the show was just fabulous. And we need a few more kids to compete with Avon since they had the whole football field from one end to the other. But they've been doing it a lot longer. And part of we're meeting with the band tomorrow and to start talking about the new band room because we've outgrown it and adding on to the auditorium, a lot of other things. So just a lot of things going on. To piggyback off Josh with the MBA program, and Mike Hall is the perfect example. He had a Woodrow Wilson scholarship to get his MBA and his principal's license at the same time, correct, Mike? Through UND. Rumor has you had a really good guest speaker one time, many years ago. So I teach at Indiana State, and I've done that for 10 years. So I went to department chairperson on to Brad Baltz, and I said, hey, listen, the Woodrow Wilson money has dried up, so why don't we offer that program? And obviously, if you want to be involved, then you need to pay for it. So effective, we're hoping in the fall, in addition to the regular MBA, I'll be meeting with a group of people. We're scheduling that hopefully probably in December. Our goal is next fall to offer an MBA program and a principal's license. And Mike, I know I'm putting you on the spot, but you and I have talked about this. Just very quickly, in 30 seconds or less, what was so special about that program for you, and how does that help you as a leader, combining that business background and the principal's license?
Yeah, so I think the opportunity to see the business side of the world, right? So most principals were educators, so I was a 4th and 5th grade teacher, so I had that background in instruction, curriculum, those types of aspects of being a principal, but it wasn't until I got into the MBA program that I fully understood processes, systems, marketing, entrepreneurship, all of those things that go into that MBA programming, financing, forecasting, the list goes on. And not to talk negative against some of my other experiences in my master's, and I actually already had my admin license through a different university. I went back specifically for the opportunity to get that MBA, and so I use that skill set daily. I used it daily as a voting level leader, and then certainly in my role now, it is pulling on those classes and experiences in the MBA program were phenomenal. So highly recommend it to anyone, and even within our own district, Bill Noss has been through that program. 2 of our former principals in the district have been through that program, and so I do think you come out a different leader with that experience.
Yeah, so we spent the last 4 months with the Scott School of Business and the Bice School of Education, and so again, we're going to be meeting in December with the goal of hopefully next fall kick that off, and those classes, the in-person classes will take place right here. I would think from Hamilton County alone, we'll get 15 people. Again, we're not paying for it, the participants, but that'll be huge to build future leaders that really understand the big picture of education. So, Mike, thanks for feeding that. But I just got that word last week that we got the thumbs up, and now we're going to start planning that. So that'll be exciting. So, again, just thanks to everybody. Special thanks to Chris and Brian for getting our teachers' contract. As we said last time, probably one of the largest increase of total dollars going to our classroom teachers, and we're doing S2S meetings. We're going around, and every time we talk about success stories, we have teachers say, thank you very much, because now all our teachers will get all their years of experience, and that is huge for us to hiring those quality teachers and bringing teachers here. So thank you, guys.
Good, Mike.
The teacher contract, I want to, great job, guys. Both Joe and his group and everybody else as far as the union and the school itself working together and coming up with this. Because I'm going around to other school districts because I got a lot of friends that teach in other school districts, and I'm bragging about it. And it's a game changer. I've been getting texts left and right, hey, give me more information and stuff like this. So I'm very excited about it and everything else, and it's just good to see that everybody was working together and everything else. So I think that's huge.
Just wanted to highlight, in case anyone missed, that we kicked off the month with Evening of Excellence, just honoring those students that worked hard for their GPA. So it was a fun night.
Yeah, Adam did a great job with his talk, and again, the number of you know, he kind of kept you on the edge of your seat on where he's going, then the space piece, and then just the number of students that whispered to him, great talk, right? And so it was good. So, and thanks to Stacy for putting that all together and making it work. That was amazing. I know some of you, but we had the opportunity to go to Cinderella, the theater department at the high school. Amazing, our kids, their voices, their acting, their camaraderie and teamwork and putting that together. You could just feel it in the air. It was electrifying. And then I want to shout out Ryan and I and Annette Patchett presented today Shamrock Academy at the intermediate school. What a great group again we have this year. Questions, the engagement, but kudos to Ryan and to the intermediate school, because as you tour that building, right, obviously there's a little bit of impact to what's happening there, but they welcome it. And matter of fact, there was a couple classrooms where they went into and the kids cheered because they kind of knew there were visitors and they were hoping they would come. So we didn't have pre-selected classrooms. We just went when we needed to and randomly popped in, showed them around and popped into some classrooms, and they got to see a lot of small groups, some mini lessons and small groups going on, but a lot of high quality feedback from that. So that was, the timing was perfect. And so sometimes you think that, oh, we have so much on our plate, and then just as people left, the gratitude they expressed for having kind of that under the hood look of our district. So good job, Josh.
Okay, and I'll say thanks again to Stacy for that evening of excellence. Good luck beating that next year, because I thought it was fantastic. And that night, you know, as a board member, is second only to graduation, is, you know, the second best thing about being a board member, in my opinion. So thanks again. That's a fantastic thing. And I do want to mention, I've been to 2 of the Destination Westfield presentations. So thanks for putting that together. I know that couldn't have been easy, and it's difficult to digest that much information for an outside person. So I happened to be at the Kiwanis meeting where it was presented, and I think everybody there, even though they, you know, you guys live this every day, they do not. So for them to be able to digest that, you know, hear it all in the same night was fantastic. It was obvious you guys have honed that very well, and so thanks again for doing that. I'm sure you'll be doing that some more, but it was, I think, a great presentation. So thank you again for that. Okay, that's all I've got. Okay, so next meeting is next meeting is just, oh, wait a minute, we have a public hearing, Destination Westfield, on November 28th, right? Okay, at 6 p.m. So I should mention that the regular board meeting is December 12th at 6:30 p.m., and this meeting is officially adjourned. Thank you.